Hey guys, how's it going and welcome to the main channel. So today we're going to be doing something different. So I was actually working on a video regarding cognitive science. Now cognitive science, if you don't know, is a Persona 5 term that they coined for the purpose of the game itself. And I was like, well, let me discuss about this. But the more I thought about it more, I was like, let's talk about the real cognitive science. Where does cognitive science even come from? And how does the idea of that was applied into the game in a different sense. Now, if you guys don't know, the terms on Persona are based on actual science. In fact, Persona is based on Jungian psychology made by Carl Jung. However, Carl Jung wasn't the only person that actually worked on all this stuff. There's another character, or a person that actually worked on science as well, or this cognitive science as they call it here, which is also actually called psychoanalysis, and this is a term again used by both Carl Jung and another man named Freud. Now Freud, we're not going to talk about him because he has his own series of stuff going on and everything like that, and he's never even used or referenced in the actual Persona game, so I don't think it's relevant to this video. However, if you want to learn more about Freud, I definitely encourage you because he is a really interesting person and there's a lot to learn about that. Now, if you don't know about me, I am Kuro. This is the Midnight channel. Let's go ahead and get started with this video here. So to a little bit of here, I actually have a psychology degree, so I kind of know what I'm talking about here. However, my focus has never been on Carl Jung and his Jungian psychology. However, I do know quite a bit about it, but we want to make it as easy as possible people to know what's going on and everything like that. I want to talk about 3 different terms here today, as well as how that works into the cognitive science, which is what is applied into the actual game. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So there are 2 terms that are used a lot in the games, and that's the terms of persona and shadows. So what is a persona and what is a shadow? In Carl Jung's psychology, he defines the persona as kind of like the other self within yourself. Like the actual persona, coined as a term, actually comes from Latin, the term of persona, which is a personality, but also another thing, which is masks. Yes, just like the mask that they wear in the game in Persona 5, the mask is a little thing that you use. Now, in Carl Jung, the persona is really something that you wear when you're around other people. So you wear a different personality when you're around different types of people. You're not the same person when you're with your parents as when you're with your friends. You're a different kind of person. You have different things. You act a different way. So he argued that there are different persons or different masks that you wear depending on the situation that you're in. Now in Persona, in the actual game, personas are these manifestations of your true self, which in a sense is kind of what Carl Jung is arguing for, especially because what Persona does is it takes that little to a different step and everything like that. It makes sense that the main character is able to wear multiple personas because us regular people, we wear multiple masks every day. When we go again with our friends or with our family or anything like that at school, we wear different masks. We're different people in different situations. Therefore, we all have different masks, different personalities, so different types of selves. However, we also have a true self, which is the person inside us. Now, let's talk about shadows because this is also pretty interesting as something that is really actually heavily and really well explained in Persona 4. Not as well in Persona 5 because it doesn't really fit that theme and motif that they were going for, but Persona 4 really explores a lot of this stuff regarding the true self and accepting your true nature. And now the shadow in that hands is the other side. This is the repressed feelings, everything that you dislike about yourself is kind of put in a corner. It's kind of in the subconscious. You usually don't really want to face that part of yourself because that is the self that you kind of, it's scary. You don't want to have that there, and it's just not. It's a part of who you are, but you don't want to have that part in there. But however, Carl Jung argued that that is something that you actually need because it's part of the balance of your true self. You have to have that part of yourself in there. So pretty much in the vein of that in Persona in the game, you have the shadows, which is again the opposite side of you, or another true side of you, which is a part people don't really want to face. In the games, in Persona 4 particularly, you unlock your persona by facing your true self, your shadow, and admitting that yes, this is a part of yourself. Therefore, that shadow becomes a persona. Now, in real psychology, I guess if you want to call this real psychology, he argues that the shadow is never gone, it's always part of yourself. In the games, he actually revealed that the shadows actually never really gone either. The shadows and the personas kind of inside yourself and it's always gonna be there. So that actually kind of balances out there. I don't really love how Persona 4 and Persona 5 particularly, they were able to apply a lot of these terms and really make a little sense out of it, but still kind of make sense in a sense that this is kind of the way that he argued things, and they were able to apply it in a way that it makes sense. I think most people, when they play the game, it kind of really makes sense, and in this part of psychology or Jungian psychology, those terms really are applied. Now the third term that I was gonna discuss today was something that actually is not explained explicitly, however you know exactly what it is, and that is the collective unconscious. Now the collective unconscious is what Carl Jung argued, that we have kind of like a special hub where all of us are connected together, like you, me, everybody in the world, we're connected together by this collective unconsciousness, and everybody has like this thing that makes us connected to each other. Now how is that applied in the game? How does that make sense into the game and everything? So the collective unconscious, especially in Persona 3, 4, and 5, which focus more on Carl Jung's psychology, is basically what you will call, whether it's Tartarus or whether you will be the Mine channel or whether it will be the metaverse. All of them are the collective unconscious. There are different versions of collective unconscious. I will argue that is because of the power of the said god in a particular game that only has so much range that it connects so many people at the same time. However, for example, in the Mina channel, the Mina channel is altered by what people perceive in reality. Therefore, when they go to sleep and they think about those things, it kind of changes that aspect and everything. It does play a special role in Persona 4 as well, when people watch somebody on TV and then that part of themselves, they start showing that particular person on the TV because they're thinking about that person. So that's really how it works in the collective unconscious. However, it is really different in how it works in the metaverse, but however, it still applies in so many different ways. There's a version of yourself in the metaverse as used in the game and everything like that. So it's really interesting how they were able to apply different versions of collective unconscious. It still does apply to a particular sense. However, I really like how they were able to apply it to different layers and different aspects of it. I really like that aspect of it because it really does make sense. Especially again, if you were somebody that never knew about psychology, when you know about psychology or know about this part of psychology, you're like, wow, all of these things are really applied really well. And I really like how they were applied, especially because it serves the purpose of a game, and they were able to take actual terms and actual things that somebody made and applied into a game functionality. It's just part of the story and part of the elements and everything. I think it's really interesting they were able to apply all of this stuff. Now, Carl Jung has a lot of different other aspects of psychology that he studied, again, psychoanalysis, which is something pretty interesting. And I do want to go over that because this is pretty much what what will be the cognitive science. Now, cognitive science in the game is a science that specializes on studying how the cognition is changed based on supernatural parts of said like the personas and the shadows and everything like that, as is shown on the game and everything like that. Obviously, that is a little bit different from what psychoanalysis is, as psychoanalysis just attempts to look into the inside of the person and kind of explore why the person acts the way that they do, based on things like shadows and personas and the collective unconscious, how those affect together and everything like that. It is a very different concept. However, based on the concepts that I just showed you, I'm pretty sure that a lot of this stuff is really similar, and it's just what they did in the game is they applied everything to a literal sense opposed to a more conceptual aspect of it. You know, there's something wrong with your shadow opposed to literally something wrong with your shadow is coming out of your body. You know, it's a really different concept in and of itself, but I really love how they were able to apply those terms and make them into the game. It really makes sense, and it's really interesting because it's a way to look at the game and now with a new lens, with a psychology lens, and it's like, it's still pretty interesting, it's still pretty cool. I still admire all the stuff that they did for the game because again, they did a lot of stuff, and they were able to put a lot of thought into it. I really like all the things that they applied to this game here. Anyway, that is pretty much in this video here. If you want more of this stuff and break down more stuff like that, more psychology stuff, let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to go into this and everything, because I think it's a pretty cool stuff, and I do have, again, my psychology degree that I can probably apply into a lot of this stuff. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. If you're new, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time.